welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, October 24th, 2018. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Mr. Zach. And on the panel, the same cast of characters. To my immediate right, Nick Red Mumley. In the center, Super Dave Handy. And at the far end, Duke Forrest.
Yeah.
And Duke, I semi-owe you an apology. I ate at the 1906 house last night up in the Berg, Enosburg.
Respectable meal, was it?
It was like, it would put a cruise ship to shame. That's how good the meal was.
No,
it was awesome.
Innkeeper Jennifer.
To say we had light banter would be a gross understatement.
You guys would still be talking if you didn't have to go home.
The owner / proprietor, Jennifer Bright, kind of goes, well, I kind of have to get up in the morning. And, once I get rolling, and I was telling Duke and Jennifer, I said, boy, what a nice evening. There was no electronics involved.
Yep.
It was just good old-fashioned talk. And
Baseball game hardly crossed my mind. I picked it up driving home in fifth inning, I think.
Well,
not a bad time to pick it up.
It's a good game, but those games take too damn long.
oh, David, again, it was after midnight when it ended, and we repeat ourselves every week. What about the good, hardworking, white or blue-collar man that has to get up from 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning? They cannot stay up.
Well, remember,
for this
not everybody's in the. Easy to think that the Eastern time zone is everybody.
But the vast population
time zone.
is in the East
Well,
zone. Take away California.
Certainly, the kids can't stay up and watch that.
Yeah. I think, in fact, the game got over a little before midnight. I think you're a little.
Okay,
Yeah,
maybe.
Oh, it was close.
11:30, quarter.
I think
12.
they
Close.
said it took 3 hours and 48 minutes or something like
Yeah.
that. Or
Close to
52
midnight.
But I will tell you,
World Series baseball, I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to start the game at 6 o'clock while everybody's still getting home from work. I mean, I think that, the people complaining that the games are too long, I don't know what you're watching. It's 4 hours of just pure excitement. These games are so intense from the first pitch to the last pitch.
Well,
I'm
don't
not sure
know.
everybody. I don't think
but
everybody.
Red, I will
sees
say
it that
this.
way.
You are a young, diehard Red Sox fan that would watch an 8-hour game and have the same opinion. We're looking at the other consumers, the casual baseball fan, where the World Series is a big deal. They're not going to stay up past 10,
if you
10:30.
go back 30 years and you look at the game times,
No, two and a
half
maybe.
hours,
Yeah.
2 hours. And I bet you when Sandy Koufax was pitching, those World Series games were probably 2 hours.
Yeah.
The Red Sox,
But
Yankees.
such a different world when
Right.
starting pitching, when starters actually
yeah.
threw complete games.
Go back to,
6 relievers coming in every game.
go back to, the ALCS in 2004 between the Red Sox and Yankees.
Those games were long.
Those games were at
too long.
least 4 hours long. It was a great series. Everybody says one of the best series of all time. They were 4-hour games. I mean, I just don't think that, the true baseball fan complains about
Right.
those. Not to knock you at all. But
No, but it's not that I don't like it because I watch it, but I get sleepy. And
Not only get sleepy, I fall asleep and then wake up usually a little later.
it's, if they could, I don't know how you fix it. Of course, I'd get rid of the replay. The replay wastes.
right.
Doesn't really matter much anyway. Though they did get one call that changed the whole thing around,
Yeah.
and they were right on that.
I'm sorry, what call? I probably didn't even see
It was a double
on
play.
a double play.
That didn't quite make it.
I want to say it was Bogarts or Pierce.
this. Oh, when
Bogarts.
Bogarts
Barely made it
out
in.
fact?
He was out, and it turns out he was safe.
And then I believe they scored a run off of it. After.
Oh yeah, they
Yes.
did get a run, but I mean they called him.
Called him
safe.
out first,
Oh, they did call him out.
and then they
was it a re?
And they overturned it.
And then
because,
they
I mean,
overturned
was-
it.
No,
it
on
was-
a replay.
Yes.
on a replay.
Because I'm listening to
clear.
radio. I swear they said he beat it out. I didn't hear anything about a replay.
Well, they did a quick replay. It didn't take long because he clearly
radio
beat it
guys
out,
didn't
yeah.
even mention
Yeah.
that. I
It
swear.
was actually really funny because Fox had they had done everything but cut to commercial. I mean, they'd done their exit. They'd put the graphic up on the screen. And then they stopped talking, cut the mics out, and then all of a sudden, 10 seconds later, Joe Buck comes back on. He's like, wait a minute, they're going to review this. And the Red Sox ended up scoring, I think, a run or two.
Maybe
in the-
radio.
in the
Maybe
inning.
they had gone to a commercial. No,
Hey,
they didn't go to a commercial because he was saying.
No, they
No,
didn't go
but
to
they were
commercial.
going. They were leaving,
No
and then
replay.
they came
Right,
back.
yeah.
Because I was expecting a double play just from the radio, and I was
Right.
thank you for beating
Now,
it
my
out.
prediction, of course, I'm always wrong. I figured the game was going to be 2-2, seventh inning, battle of the bullpens. You've got two of the top two left-hand pitchers in baseball. Now this.
I'm not
joke-
sure Chris Sale is these days.
Well, perhaps not these days, but this joke about him in the hospital. Did he have diarrhea? I mean, what's the
what
story?
about the belly?
Hey,
I'm just reading
what-
about the belly button ring.
Yeah, he
that belly button ring was a joke.
he did that as
Was
a
it-
red
it wa-
herring. Yeah,
It was a joke?
Yeah.
yeah,
I
because
hope
he
so.
said he took off and on his belly button ring and it got.
That was. I hope
irritated.
that was a joke.
What difference does it make if he has diarrhea, intestinal flu, or had abdomen? I just tell me the truth. It just doesn't make it.
Well, I don't think he
Well-
feels like it's important. He's never really, expressed a whole lot. Chris Sale, I mean, we go back to the days where he cut up the throwback jersey. He said he didn't like. He's not a vocal guy. He's gonna, speak with his actions more than his words.
He's really good. He didn't. He looked good for about 50, 60 pitches, and then he looked
Well,
like he
yeah,
ran out
that
of
was
gas.
his problem. He didn't look all that bad. He looked a lot better than Clayton Kershaw. The only problem was that he was up to 70 pitches after the end of the third inning.
Clayton Kershaw, who I've bestowed my love for
Calling
a
him, haven't
decade
you
ago.
called him the best pitcher
Well, I think
ever?
it was Jimmy Fitzgerald told me that he was looking at a list and they had him 9th all-time greatest pitcher of all time.
fair.
And he started the season out at 2.34 lifetime ERA, which is unreal. And this year, in off-season, he had a 2.73. Now,
Unfortunately, his postseason efforts belie
Right, and
that.
Though he is 9-9 postseason.
Well, that doesn't strike me as a top 10
Right.
all-time pitcher.
No.
and I had a quick thought that was, okay, and we'll get it to free agency after the series, which we'll spend probably 4 months talking about that. But, with the Nats more than likely losing Harper, theoretically, it'd be a $30 million an average contract. Clayton Kershaw has an out in his contract this year.
After this year?
So I'm thinking to myself, well, we certainly could use another starting pitcher, but I'd rather spend it on Clayton Kershaw or Harper. But again, all these injuries.
wouldn't think Kershaw-
And David, you've had a
Kershaw
bad
really
back, haven't you, in the past?
Not much.
Not bad.
Of-
But people that have a bad
It's-
back, they
it's
tell
bad.
me once they're cured, they're never the same. And he's been on DL last 3 years in a row.
Well,
with
the
a
thing
bad
about
back.
the thing about Kershaw is that his wind. They were talking about it on Fox last night. His windup is. It's so stressful on his back because he kind of like does a little knee buckle and a double kick to try to throw off the runner, and it just puts all the stress on his knees and his back. And even like you said, even if he does, he has come back from this back injury, but I think it's kind of a chronic thing at this point.
And I might have mentioned last week's show, his fastball's down 4 or 5 miles.
oh yeah, his
about
fastball
90.
is about 90. Yeah.
now, right? Which 90, you're a powder puff if you're throwing.
Yeah,
won't-
I mean he's got the control. The thing about Major League pitching is that you could throw. I mean, look at the knuckleballers. They can throw 68,
Right.
70 miles per hour, and they still get swings and misses because they've got the command. They've got the pitch. They've got the break on the pitch, the late movement. That's what Kershaw's got. But he's just not the pitcher he was 2-3 years ago, and I don't think he will be.
I'm just hoping, and perhaps I'm just a boring guy, to have a 2-1 baseball game, some good old-fashioned baseball, instead of watching softball games.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a thing in this series.
I'll tell you what.
Who knows?
I didn't bring my cap tonight, but I tip my cap to the Red Sox. They play.
Just don't tell me they're a lock and I've got nothing to
Well,
worry
they are a
about.
lock. They are a
Please
lock.
don't tell me that I'll
I
figuratively
picked them
kill
last
you.
week. I have no reason to change my mind.
You want me to go back to a Super Bowl or
Let
two?
me tell you why I love the way they play. Number one is their guys change their swings with 2 outs or with 2 strikes,
Right. Yeah.
and they get base hits. Benintendi, Mookie Betts.
Big 2-out hits.
How about
Big
that
2-out
hit
hits.
that the catcher got?
Sandy
Mr.
Leon.
Vasquez?
He just turned around and hit it to right field. No, if all the rest of these 32 teams are watching, that's how you play the game. And then Mookie Betts gets on. The minute he gets on,
That's great.
he's still second. The pressure they put on the teams,
Right.
they play the game
Oh, yeah, I mean,
exactly the right way.
4 batters into the game, they were up 2-0.
David,
and
let me
just
take
topped
you
on
back
Kershaw early.
55 years ago when you first started playing Major League Baseball. Didn't the coach always tell you, hey, Handy, you got 2 strikes on you.
You choke up.
protect the plate, and just get the ball in your bat. And that was the 11th commandment until maybe 20 years ago, where people didn't change their
Well,
approach.
if you look at your last bunch of World Series winners, you go back, Houston last year, a very well-balanced team.
Yep.
Year before, was it Kansas City?
Yeah.
The Giants,
Right.
the Cardinals. All those teams, all were balanced, good fielding, base hitters, not home run hitters. You look at what's happened. You look at the Yankees. I can't tell you, and I listen to a lot of their games. I can't tell you how many games, leadoff double. The guy not only doesn't score, the guy ends up still on second base.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Well, it's because they go for all or nothing. Everybody talks about Yankees. Oh, they've got
long
first team,
angle and home run
first
and
team
all that.
ever. 20. Everybody in their lineup has 20
But
home runs.
Red-
But I mean,
I hate to give you credit, but you said something 2 or 3 weeks ago, and you weren't being mean or facetious, but you said the statement, and it really clicked with me. The New York Yankees are what is wrong with baseball.
right.
And they're a softball team, is what the New York Yankees are.
and their fielding was bad. Now that being said, I still think they're the second best team because they were. Hey, if Sanchez had hit that ball about 10 more feet, we might be having a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But I love the way the Red Sox play. Their starting pitching has been okay, but their bullpen is much better than
Their
we
bullpen
thought.
has been what
best
has
team
got
money
them
can
to the
buy.
World
But let me
Series.
ask you guys this question. I don't think Mr. Kimbrell has done himself any good to
Last-
hitting.
Did you watch last
see
night?
Right.
last
well,
night?
last night.
Last night was good.
he
Game
on.
5, he was
But
decent.
But
finally
he
got
did
it
not
together.
pitch well overall this year. I don't think he's going to get the bucks he's expecting come
Well,
I don't think he's going to be in poverty, though.
the last time you had two big-time closers, free agents, you had Jansen and Chapman. Chapman got $85 million.
Yep.
Jansen got $80 million.
Right, but those days are over. Just
I-
the way
But
they
If he has some more efforts like last night and stuff,
He'll
he
get
may-
60
that
to
may
70
kick him
at
back
least.
up
Now,
to
is
some
Andrew
pretty big
Miller
bucks.
a free agent this
Yes.
year?
With Cleveland,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I want to tell something to you. I told Duke last night. Being a National Leaguer, and I've been bestowing this wisdom on you all summer, fall, that the National League is nothing. I told you at the start, and you probably didn't agree with me, there's no shame in the Red Sox season if they lose to the Yankees. The Yankees won
Right.
100 games. Then I said there's no shame if they lose to the world champion Astros. They
Right.
won 102 games, I think, or
Right.
103.
4 or something like
anyway.
that. And again, I see National League play every day. The Dodgers won 92 games. I don't think, as David would say, they're a well-balanced ball club. And, I already have sized the rings up for the Sox.
But again, so you didn't
It's-
finish your thought. You're saying the Red Sox
At this
would
point,
be shame if they lose to the
this
Dodgers.
would be a huge disappointment because
Yeah,
the Dodgers are
disappointment.
nowhere close to what the Yankees and the Astros
I
are.
think
they're
I'd
still
have
not
to
a bad-
agree.
it's still
I'll
a
tell
pretty
you what
good
else.
I mean, they're the best of the National League, but 92 wins, and they've got some warts.
Don't discount the Fenway factor tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know how
You saw it last
cold
night.
it's going to be there. The Dodgers
help
are a
the
warm weather
Sox.
team.
Yeah.
The Red Sox are used to playing there in cold weather.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's cold and damp there
Tonight's gonna
all the
be-
time.
tonight's
What-
gonna be
what
a
is the
lousy-
weather there tonight?
Talking, it sounds like
Probably
mid-40s with about a 15
Well,
to 20 mile an hour.
I was actually
Probably
Northwest
north.
wind.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about this yesterday.
Wind
This was
chill around
just a
freezing or
random
so.
thought as I, thinking about the cold weather. I actually had this thought when I saw like Clayton Kershaw, like I could see like his breath in the
Absolutely.
air.
You bet.
Clayton Kershaw is the Peyton Manning of baseball. Can't play in the cold weather, can't play in the playoffs, and so far can't play against Boston teams.
Yeah.
So that was just my random thought last night.
But let-
But if the Dodgers somehow manage to win a game tonight, tell me it's not a
Call it-
series.
yeah,
Next
absolutely.
3 games in LA.
Well,
So if you're conceding this to the Red Sox, I think you're
I
crazy.
think,
I
but
hope you're right, but I
this
think
is
you're crazy.
This is the thing right now, though, is that ultimately, the Dodgers are going to have to win a game at Fenway, and I don't know that
It would
they
help
can.
if they won tonight.
I don't know that they can do that, judging from the way they played last night. I mean, you look at their outfielders: Chris Taylor, Kike Hernandez, Yasiel Puig. 3 pretty bad defensive outfielders looked completely lost in Fenway Park. All these guys, they've never played there before. I think, this is a bigger deal. People are talking about it a lot, but I think that this is a huge deal because the Fenway Park is a ballpark like nothing you'll see in the National League. I mean,
Tonight's going to be the wind's going to be blowing third base to first base.
right,
Don't look
you've
for a
got
lot
the
of
cold
balls to get
you've
up
got
into
the cold
monsoons
factor.
tonight.
The
night.
Dodgers just don't. They've never faced this before.
Yeah,
Their
that should help.
pitching's never
That should
faced it
that
before.
should help the Red Sox, I guess.
You know, this is a really inexperienced Dodgers team, playoffs wise. I mean,
But they're in the World. They
World
almost
Series
won the
last
World
year.
Series last year.
that's true. But like,
Seventh game.
you know,
a close
it's
game,
right. But like, I think that you know,
Against a great team.
you've got like pitchers like Walker Buehler that have, you know, they've never been here before. They've never been in an environment like Fenway in this time of year. I think that that's a bigger factor than people are willing to play in. The Dodgers, bottom line, they're going to have to win a game at Fenway to win the series. I don't know if they can do that.
You're right about that. Well, if they happen to steal a game tonight, you know.
I don't think so.
I think back in LA, it's going to be a
David
much
Price,
different
and again,
story.
I've certainly
but-
beaten up. I've had, made a career about beating up David Price. What an unreal. It's nice to see him pitch the kind of game that I've been expecting.
I do have a question
But
for
what
you
a game.
about,
Can he do two in a row? I guess we'll
about
see.
Price. I've wanted to, ever since Game 5 of the ALCS, I've wanted to ask you this. Is David Price's slate wiped clean because he got the Red Sox to the World Series in your view?
I'd say another couple of good games would help, but that sure took the proverbial
Right.
monkey
If you ask
off
me,
his
has
back
he
to
earned his
some
$31 million
extent.
a year
Not even
contract?
close.
Give me a few
even
more
close.
wins.
He pitches like a $9.5 million.
But still,
pitcher.
that was given his track record, that was a huge
But at this
game.
point, nobody cares what's happening.
And he gets a
past.
break tonight because they're up 1-0. I mean, if they were down, 1-0 tonight, a lot more pressure.
Hey, you know what I
That's
watched?
a break for him.
You know what I watched, and it really brought
Did you get her for Clint?
almost brought me back to tears.
Okay.
Was they had a special on MLB on the 2003 Aaron Boone.
No, thank you for
Game.
reminding me of that fun.
16 years.
Oh my God, was that good? And
That was a great series.
just to show you how things have changed.
Poor Tim Wakefield, who pitched very well in
he
that
did.
series.
Uh,
Fellow Hingham guy.
how about Pedro Martinez pitched 119 pitches that game?
Did he really?
And they were talking to,
Well, Brady Leto left him in. too
Well,
long, that's why they lost.
they were talking to Veritek, they're talking to Johnny Damon, they're talking to all the Red Sox guys. And they go, hey, look, this guy was the best pitcher in all of baseball. Whoever you put in beside him, it won't be as good. And that's the way it was then.
Is that right? 119 pitches.
119 pitches. And that game had everything.
Great game.
That was really good, and that's when we still had it over the Red Sox. And we still had, they were, the 86
you
years.
probably might have thought you had it the
1918.
next year too. You just might have thought that 3-0 lead. You know.
Well, you know what happened there, though.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
I'll tell you what happened that game. We needed to win the fourth game because our pitchers didn't line up after
No.
that.
Yeah.
We had nothing. I think who'd they use? Kevin Brown and big fatso there, David Wells,
They used Mike
David.
Messina, didn't they?
threw out his back. They used Mike Messina in the in 03. He pitched like 5 or 6 innings.
Right? Didn't he pitch in like Game 6 or something in that series? The one that they lost.
He could have.
I want to say it. I obviously don't remember any of
Well,
it.
you were like 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
You don't
and,
remember that great series?
My
and
first
the,
Red Sox memory is 07. But.
That was-
Then,
that's
then
pretty
of
good.
course, I can still see Johnny Damon hitting those 2 home runs
Yeah, Johnny came up pretty big,
Oh.
only to end up in the Bronx a little while
a
later.
couple years later. But the
And guess who's being honored tonight? The
Ellsbury
2004 team's being honored tonight. Mr. Dave
But
Roberts,
not
for
Dave
some
Roberts.
reason,
He said he
isn't
didn't
going
want
to
it, yeah.
participate. You know who didn't get invited? I was just hearing this on the game. Kurt Schilling. They didn't invite Kurt Schilling.
why?
Well,
Schilling's gone
probably
kinda off the
because the
wall.
Red Sox are maybe not impressed, especially in this PC age, with
Right.
some of the, I think, crazy stuff he said. I'm not saying they shouldn't have invited him,
Right.
but yeah, your guys were talking about that.
Well, Kurt's
That's
gone off the
interesting.
wall
I think,
just a little
geez,
bit.
who comes to mind when you think of the Red Sox?
Oh
winning?
my God! If anybody ought to be there, it's him.
Kurt's, again, in
Jeff-
the PC world, Kurt's gotten a little.
Is it
Well,
be-
ESPN
so
threw him out. for
his
stuff,
political
but-
views
Yeah.
prevented him from being
I don't know.
invited?
Red Sox didn't say that. I guess all the Red Sox said
Well,
was,
that's
no,
why
we
his
didn't
political
invite him.
views got him fired from ESPN.
We didn't invite
We do
him.
know that.
Right, but we also know ESPN's most
But I
left-wing organization.
suspect they were afraid that somebody's going to interview him and he's going to open his mouth and say something crazy.
Yeah.
But again,
That's
I'm
not
not
right.
impressed they didn't invite him.
That's not right.
But that's interesting that they didn't. And Manny, I guess Crazy Manny didn't get the invite either.
Well, how
How
can
could you
you?
not invite
Yeah.
these guys? I mean, we know
Apparently.
Manny's crazy.
I want to say, I forget what Manny Ramirez is doing these days, but I want to say he's still playing like in Mexico or
Yeah, was
something.
he
as like a
Mexico,
player
Puerto Rico?
coach.
Like
somewhere
a
like
player
that.
manager or
Yes,
something?
yes.
All right.
He wants to come.
And Hanley, have we heard? Have we heard? Was Hanley still alive?
You know what? Right, he was released
Right.
last year.
Boy, kudos, Alex Cora. I mean,
Was
so
it
far.
this year or last year?
This year.
It was this year?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, early this year.
okay.
Like
He was an
May-
addition
May
by
probably.
subtraction.
Right.
There's a perfect
Right.
example.
Well, I knew the Red
And
Sox.
I had
Oh.
absolute mixed emotions about that. Dan Shaughnessy, for the record, the great Dan Shaughnessy, he kind of stood out as saying, this is a stupid move. They're going to need him postseason. He's a lively guy, good postseason record. So
Here comes
Shaughnessy
Steve Pierce.
did not come up big with that.
I
But
would have.
Alex Cora,
I never liked
Alex
Hanley
Midas
Ramirez.
Cora. I mean, every move so far.
Yeah,
has
I would
worked out.
follow Alex Cora through the gates of hell.
Alex Cora right now is having the same exact series that Joe Torre did in 1996,
Oh, yeah.
where every move he makes turns out right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, what about last night? And what about the Dodgers when they changed the pitcher? That's about when I got back.
And they didn't.
my house.
And the Dodgers
when they
didn't put
took
in
out
a
Kershaw and
right-hander,
put
yeah.
in Madsen.
No, I'm talking who was the later relief pitcher who blew away Mitch Moreland and I think
They
Xander
put in
Bogaerts.
Yeah.
They were
Urias.
helpless. So what is Roberts comes out of the pitching coach? They pull him because hey, we got a lefty coming up. Can't
Right.
have a righty pitching to
Was
a
that
lefty.
Alex Wood that served up the home run?
No.
I'm gonna look.
It was who's the guy? I just wrote his name
They
down.
pitched Urias last night. But
That
he's still-
Urias is good.
Oh
too.
yeah, he's only like 20 years old too. That's
Anyway, so they bring
he's
up
nasty.
Nunez. The Dodgers think they have a lefty on a lefty, so no, we're not going to give you a lefty. Hey, Nunez, go up and
home
hit for
run
Brock
Nunez
Holt,
hit?
and he nails a
I
three-run
mean,
homer.
that looked like
It
a
was
cannon
game.
shot. I mean, it cleared the
Couldn't
fence
believe it
by that
cleared.
much. But that thing, you blink of an eye and it was
But again,
gone.
Was it,
the Dodgers
did he hit it
pitcher
to left
had-
field or to right
It
field?
was left field.
just over
Just
the wall.
barely. but-
Nunez, is he a lefty or righty?
No, it's a righty.
Yeah.
righty.
Okay.
But that
But again, the
ball,
Dodger pitcher had
He hits a
blown
lot
these
better.
guys away.
He hits a lot better off righties than lefties.
Yeah. Yeah.
So great. Talk about overmanaging. I think that's a knock on Roberts, and Cora maybe does it. Maybe everybody does it.
I
at
think they
times,
all
but
do now.
Talk about
David.
overmanaging.
I'm not an American League guy. I can read a box score, and I played National League fantasy baseball, played American League in the past. Again, don't really follow it. I know Manny Machado. I know he's just a killer with a bat. But now that I've got to know him personally,
Piece of
the last
trash.
2 weeks, boy, would I not want him on my ball club. He's not a very nice person.
He's
I
a
don't want
dirtbag.
him. I don't want him.
I don't want him. And you know what? I'm afraid now that we can stop shopping at Walmart, like I said last week, we could go buy Manny Machado. But geez, I don't see.
Well, my follow-up
I don't
question-
see it ending up well with him.
Are they hearing that you think the Yankees want
Oh, they tried to get him at the trade deadline.
David, do you think he's lost a number of millions of dollars? Do you
No.
think he's lost any suitors?
Well, if he has, he's still
Where
gonna have
an
many
owner of the
tens of
team.
millions.
I'm the owner. You're the general manager. I'm saying, Dave, I don't want this Machado guy. Period.
Hey, he is good though.
He's how he
That's
can
hey,
hit.
that's enough to get. The
He's
pitcher,
a
the pitcher of the
fantastic
Dodgers, the
defensive
guy was
player.
Pedro Baez.
Okay.
The guy who was blowing away the Red Sox. Hey, sorry, we can't have
Pitched
you pitching to a lefty.
2/3 of an inning.
But was it Alex
Idiots.
Wood that gave
Then
up?
Alex Wood came
gave
in.
up the
Came
home
in.
run?
threw 1 1/3
But-
and.
And I'm
gave up the
sorry, I
home
know
run.
it was a low launch angle,
2
but I
hits.
didn't see the velocity
No, what
of
a-
how
what a
hard.
shot.
I mean, as I said, with blink of the eye,
I couldn't believe
was
it got out.
boom.
So you think the Yanks will still go after Machado?
Oh, who knows? I hope not. I don't like him.
Yeah, what a
I like him
dirtbag.
less than I liked A-Rod. I never liked A-Rod.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know to despise him or respect him. We know countless number of baseball players that do not hustle. But he admitted last
Yes,
night,
I'll
I
give
don't
him credit
hustle.
for that.
That's
That's
not
not
my
my
cup
game.
of tea. Now,
That's
as much
not
as
my
I like
thing.
Bryce Harper, about once a week, he will barely jog down to first base. in 99% of the time, yes, he's going to be out. But I'm sorry, run. Run.
There was a guy, was it Benintendi or Benintendi?
Benintendi last night gave up a double.
He should have had a double, but he only had a single because he was.
Taylor bobbled the ball, but he was running.
Oh, is that right?
I don't.
didn't see that. No,
I
really?
don't have a big problem with that though, because he was trying to track the ball off the bat, and I think he lost it, and because it was high up in there, it was kind of just like a tall bloop that fell in front of Taylor, and then Taylor missed
Well, let
it,
me
but-
stop you, Red. But isn't that what the first base coach is there for? You run hard and
think,
listen to your coach.
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody runs hard anymore.
Oh, well, you're right. I mean, that is.
But I do love, of
Second
all the
base
new
either
modern
way.
ball players, one of my favorite is Benintendi. I can't wait till he's a free agent in a couple years.
Good 4 hits last night. Good game.
Yeah.
last
He's
night.
got a
Of course,
high.
like he said last night, he goes, don't, those weren't all, two of them were
the last
real
one,
dinks and
Dodger,
dunks.
whoever
Yeah,
the fielder was, probably should have had
Yeah,
that.
but I think Benintendi's
last
got
ball.
a very high baseball IQ. And I just.
fantastic left fielder.
Yeah, I think Benintendi won't be a superstar, but he's going to be that guy you get in
Next
your
kind of
team,
rung down,
and
maybe.
he's going to be the same exact player for the next 12
He
years.
reminds me of Fred Lynn for some reason. Don't ask me why. I know he doesn't hit the same.
It'll be
but-
interesting to see with the Red Sox and Hockey Noted. They could field a whole team of folks from their own people, from their own
Right.
farm system.
Right.
It'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see for a team that often does not pay the big buckos to keep their players when they get to free agency. How many of these guys they'll try to keep?
And
Well,
the only,
you know they're going to step up to Mookie
I think
Betts and
Mookie, as I
Benintendi.
say, hey Mookie, here's the checkbook. You fill in the amount. I'd say that to Mookie at least.
So, Red, I've espoused over the years on the show, put Mookie back at second. He grew up as a second baseman. He would be the greatest second baseman of our time.
But
Guy
look
that
how good he is in the end.
Oh,
Why
he's
do you-
great. He's great. But it's so much easier to replace an outfielder. I know the problem is you're stuck with Dustin Pedroia and with a huge contract. But Mookie was an excellent defensive second baseman
No,
coming
he's
up.
going to be excellent at whatever he does.
Right. But I'm saying to get a second baseman that
So
can
you
hit
think
35 home runs.
I guess I'm not. So you think it's way more important to have a good second baseman
Well,
or a
you
great
forget
second baseman than a great right
the
fielder?
current year, name me how many second basemen over the last 40 years that have hit 35 home runs. It's rare. I remember Davey Johnson hit
Cano
30
doesn't
some
count,
odd.
though.
with
Jeff
his-
Kent.
Kent had a couple, right. But
Not
it's
a
rare.
lot.
And Jeff Kent couldn't field if his life depended
But
on it.
I just think in Fenway, right field, there's a ton of room out there.
Yeah.
Again, for the record, the deepest medium right in
Yep.
the majors
Yep.
at 380.
Yeah.
I
But
think
that
having
won't,
a-
but as
he makes
we
his-
read,
he's useful
he
out there.
may, I don't know, play second base.
I'll tell you what, he's probably going to play there in Los Angeles
At Chavez Ravine.
because they've been working him out at second.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Because you can't take J.D.
No, you
Martinez out.
cannot.
Right, and you can't take Benintendi or Jackie
Boy,
Bradley out
JD,
either,
that
so.
looked, I saw just on replays when he went around second last night. Is he okay? Did you see that?
It looked like he just rolled his ankle. I mean,
Well,
he
it
walked
didn't
it off
look-
afterwards.
didn't look too
and
good. He
was
looked okay
afterwards.
afterwards?
But no, I think that obviously they're going to have to put him at second base in the games in Dodger Stadium. But I think it makes sense because
guess.
you know what
I
you
don't
do.
know.
You know what you do. I mean, that gives an opportunity. You can put either Moreland or Steve Pearce or Nunez or Devers, whoever's not playing out of that group at the DH position, and then put Betts at second, and then you get Jackie Bradley and Benintendi and Martinez all in the outfield, and you don't have to worry about having Kinsler and Brock Holton line up. Second base has been the weak spot offensively for the Red Sox, so I mean it kind of makes sense. I think if they're comfortable with Betts being there. Now that's obviously the big problem, but it's whether or not he's comfortable there. I mean he's played like 2 or 3 innings there in the last 3 years.
I'll tell you, I think
be
Mookie
interesting to
Betts
see.
is such a great athlete.
He
I swear
could
to
play
God,
there.
he could
I
be
think
the
so,
starting
too.
catcher of the
Plus,
Red
he
Sox.
came up as a second
yeah.
baseman.
All right,
No,
his scouting report was he was an excellent
Yeah, that'll be
defender.
interesting to see what they
But
do. in
you're
LA.
stuck with Pedroia for the next 5 years or 4
Well,
years after
I mean,
this?
I don't
who
think
knows
it's
if
that
we
long,
even
no.
see him.
I think he might
doubt
be
it.
all done.
No, I think.
Seriously?
I mean, just health-wise, if they get another
But
year or
dude,
two out
he's
of
got
him.
what, about
No.
$100 million?
No,
I think you're. I
Contract's
don't,
that
Check
much.
his contract,
I don't
please.
think he's got that many.
I
more
think
years.
he's almost done.
I think a couple,
thought
at
it-
most 3, maybe I'd say 2.
He did an 8-year, $110
2 or
million.
I'm trying to see.
But I just don't think he's going to be.
And,
He's not going to be around that long.
So while he looks, you would object to having Mookie play second
No,
base?
God, Mookie's playing a great right field.
Right,
I'm not sure.
but
I'm not totally
right.
comfortable.
But
As good as he is.
I'll tell you what.
What's his contract?
We're getting there.
Okay,
Oh,
we'll
sorry.
continue to talk.
He
Okay,
signed $110 million. When was it?
Yeah,
No,
I'm trying to
I'm
see
not
when it
totally
But-
comfortable with that.
I would be comfortable with Benintendi moving to right field because I'm that confident that he is that
Signed
good
through-
a defender.
yeah.
Where
Yeah, that doesn't
right
bother me.
field at Fenway is so
You got him
difficult to
3 more
play.
years.
Three more years.
How much, David?
6
Whatever.
years,
He's
85
not- he
million.
believed
How much?
6 years, 85 million.
If he plays more than
But-
1 year, if that, I think I'd be surprised.
Right. I think that he's a guy that gets DFA'd at some point next year.
And
Plus,
you're
he-
telling me
and
the
they-
Red Sox
they-
would
they-
eat the contract?
Well, why wouldn't? What are they going to do?
They'll take the insurance money just like
haven't
the
eaten-
Mets did
They
with
haven't eaten contracts before.
But
I think that's something new
can-
for them.
Can they take insurance money if, like, a Kansas City picks him up and inserts him in the
I don't
starting
think.
lineup?
I think if he can't play for the Red Sox, he's done.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if he can still play baseball, he's going to be with the Red Sox
Hey,
because
make him a playing
what
coach
he's
and just
done
don't
for
play
this
him or
team, right?
something.
It's not
yeah,
like
he would be a fantastic coach.
Yeah, I
It's
would
not
think
like
so.
he's got. He played. He's high mileage
Yeah.
for the year.
And it's not his team anymore anyway. And to me, he lost me last year during the
No, the
clubhouse
Machado thing
debacle.
that thing was
Yeah,
weird
it
at the
just-
start of the
yeah.
season.
Right.
So
I don't think they're losing sleep over his money.
No.
the other thing too, I want to point out too, we talk about the cold weather, is the psyche of the human being. If you went to Foxborough at a 40-degree game, you wouldn't even talk about it. You'd put the same coat on, but you go to Fenway, watching. It's just the psyche of the human. It's like, oh man, it's really cold for this, but then we're
Well,
sitting
people, I
in
mean, those
Foxborough.
fans have presumably half a brain. I'd hate to think
Yeah.
that too many fans are going to be cold. in
Well, the
Fenway
other thing
tonight.
you get at Fenway too is you're pretty darn close to the ocean, and it's damp. And
Yes,
it's,
it is.
It's a cold. It's
Sure.
it's a different kind of cold than when you're more inland.
Yeah.
It's not for the record an east wind, but it's a cold northwest wind, so that doesn't matter. But, oh yeah, no, it's a cold like Montreal.
Yeah.
How cold is Montreal?
Oh.
I mean, just the dampness and
The-
yeah, a lot of that's in the
Montreal's
river.
damp. Yeah.
So cold.
Yeah, but I agree with you too. I just think the weather obviously favors
No, that
the
would
Red
seem
Sox.
to favor the Sox tonight, I guess. Yeah. But David, again, I was just happy to see the guy finally pitch a kind of game I've been waiting to see postseason for years. But no, he could use a few more before, he gets, but still, I mean, I think everybody, Red Sox Nation, just breathed a collective sigh of relief when he finally came through with a big game.
Yeah. As I sit here, I mean, again, I'd like to predict a 2-1 old-fashioned baseball game, but it could end up being 12-10.
Who knows?
Just
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Dodgers pitching the
Korean.
Hyunjin Ryu.
That guy pitched a great game.
he's
and-
very- good,
very
Brew.
good
Yeah,
pitcher,
he is
very good
good.
pitcher. And the thing that interests me tonight, and why I think that this will be kind of an interesting game, I'm not sure if this was the same thing last night, but I'm just looking at it here. Nobody on the Red Sox has ever faced Ryu, and nobody on the Dodgers has ever faced Price.
No, is that right? No, yeah,
Every single
interesting.
person on this roster is just completely new, apparently. At least according to MLB. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that.
But
What about this series? This is unreal. I'm sure you've noted. First time that the Red Sox and Dodgers have faced off in the World Series,
Right.
and you want to tell me how many years? How about 102 years?
Right, and the
Not
Dodgers.
unbelievable?
Wow.
Yeah, back when Dodgers were not
is-
even called the Dodgers.
That is what I mean, right?
Yeah,
We're
I
talking
don't- I think-
1960 when the
Yeah.
Dodgers were known not only as the Dodgers but the Robins.
Yes, the Robins
As in out of New
I
York,
believe
obviously.
was it the Boston Braves or was it the Red Sox at that
I
point?
think they became the Red Sox.
No, the Braves were. I mean, Braves
Braves were a
national-
whole
National,
different team.
they were
separate-
national.
Oh,
league,
okay,
so
They were
okay.
national
But the
league.
right.
Red Sox originally were the Boston Pilgrims,
Most important.
and which was a
And
great
Hawk
nickname.
wonders why did they
right? Why
change
did
that
they
name?
change? It wasn't back in the 1800s. They were the Boston Bean Eaters. I'm serious.
That's possible. I can't.
I don't remember.
Bean Eaters, yeah. So
Well, the Yankees weren't always called the Yankees. They were called the New York Highlanders.
No, is that
That's
right?
right.
New York Highlanders.
So, right, I'm going to give you a learning moment here. The Brooklyn/LA Dodgers.
Right.
Okay, it doesn't make sense for LA once you hear my little story. The Brooklyn Dodgers, how did they get the nickname Dodgers?
I'm not sure.
I told you
can't-
this story before.
Oh yeah, no, I don't remember that either.
in Brooklyn.
I know why they moved to L.A.
Right,
But
right. In Brooklyn, with all the, trolley cars?
Yeah.
You were always dodging the trolleys
Just
in
not
Brooklyn.
getting hit by a trolley car.
And that, I know that sounds stupid, but that's how they got their nickname of the Dodgers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever works.
yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
So what a move for baseball when they and the Giants went west. I mean, talk about
yeah.
wow. And that was I don't think any people didn't really see that coming. Wasn't that pretty much a surprise?
Well,
Didn't they
you know
keep that
what?
fairly quiet. or
The
no?
thing is, if you go back to the late 50s and early 60s, baseball didn't have big attendance.
No, they
Oh,
didn't.
Red Sox.
Look at the
Talk
Red
to me
Sox.
about being at, seeing Ted Williams' last game in Fenway with maybe
14,000.
another 10 to 15,000 fans.
Well, before this ownership group took over the Red Sox, what was the capacity of Fenway? It was like 28 or 27.
Yeah.
Was it
It was
not
something.
even
It was
30?
it was very low. I think it might have
Or
been
low, it might have been low 30s. But yeah, they've kicked it up quite a bit. It's now
I thought it was
officially
just below
37.
38 or so,
Yeah.
37 something.
Well, the thing about Fenway Park, they did such a great job where
done a
you
good
don't
job
even
with it.
notice that
right.
they
that it's been
refurbed the
renovated.
place.
Done a good job.
Well, it wasn't that long ago where they were talking about getting rid of Fenway Park because
Oh, sure, there was talk
because
about
the
that.
neighborhood was bad, everything was bad, and they wanted a
fine.
new
Maybe down where
state-of-the-art
the
facility.
seaport's gone crazy, down on the harbor or something.
Where were they
Yeah, there
gonna
was talk
build it?
about- There was certainly talk about the hottest, again, I'm never in Boston, but the hottest place in Boston, I guess, is the Seaport District, just when you're on the Anthony's Pier 4, which I think I wandered into once. But it's just, I think there's like a new court, just tons of stuff going on down there. But there was talk about putting it on the harbor, which would have been kind of cool. But yeah, there was talk about that.
But I think
But the new ownership group, I think, realized they had a pretty good thing going, and again, they put their money into some pretty impressive renovations.
well, and the whole neighborhood now is all.
I don't think it was. I
upgraded.
don't think it was that bad a neighborhood anyway. But I'm
Well,
sure it's
wasn't the
better.
combat zone not too far away?
No, combat zones right off like Boston combat zones, not particularly close.
Oh, okay.
I know the combat zone. I wandered through there a few times. No, that's not right. That's not right near Fenway.
Okay.
But the history of California,
A
the
lot of
first
college
team
kids here
to
and
go to
stuff.
California
Northeastern's near. Close to
Fenway.
Fenway.
were the New York Giants. The owner, if I remember right, was Horace
Stoneham.
Stoneman. He was offered your choice, Horace. You can go to L.A. or San Fran,
Yeah.
wherever. Which one you want? What do you want? And San Fran was a little bit more chic. Is that the
Little
word?
hipper, whatever.
And he chose San Francisco. And then the Dodgers were a year or two behind. And of course, the
They were a year or
Dodgers.
two. I mean, they didn't they move out to? Didn't they?
I
move
don't-
out? But I bet they moved out together. Why?
Yeah.
They
Can
moved
you
out
check
together.
what year the Giants went?
There's no way you
what
have
year?
one team out there with nobody else there.
Because the
in
first year
neighborhood.
the Dodgers
wasn't it
played in
56?
L.A. Coliseum.
LA
56 or 57.
Yeah, and
Oh no, they moved out at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
And the
check.
Dodgers
No
were
way there was
58.
one
were
team.
they?
Yeah.
The left field, I'm sorry. Yeah, left field
Oh,
line
sure.
at LA Coliseum.
250 or something?
Yeah.
Oh no, they definitely moved out. There's no way. I don't think I mean they
Yeah,
wanted
same time.
somebody.
It
to,
was. Was it 57?
They both went
Yes,
57.
Yeah,
57.
57.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
same time.
Yeah. Duly noted. And we're still.
Run into people bitter about some of the old guys still bitter about that.
Oh, my
move
father,
Really?
just a huge
Dodgers fan?
Yeah,
Really?
and of course, if you go to Citi Field, the home of the Mets now,
Right. That's
it's
where they wanted to build
It's
that
a
park.
replica
Of Ebbets.
really?
of
Yeah.
Ebbets Field.
Oh, is it really? I didn't
Absolutely
know that.
gorgeous on the outside. You go inside, there's nothing special about Citi
Yeah.
Field.
Yeah.
So, but the
You know what stands-
Dodgers were offered a home, and there were, gosh, there's been documentaries. The most powerful man in New York was not the mayor. It was
was,
like the building.
Yes.
Oh,
I took
yeah,
a college
almost
class.
Robert
Park guy.
Moses.
That's
Yes.
it.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I
David,
might have
how'd you
come up
pull
with
that one
Good
out?
job.
I,
Robert Moses was the most powerful man in
Yes.
New York.
Highways, parks.
And he offered the Brooklyn Dodgers a nice piece of property.
Really?
Queens.
Was it Queens
that
or
right?
Flushing?
Might have been Flushing.
Well, Flushing is in
Flushing is
Queens.
where the Mets
Flushing
are.
is where the Mets. But he offered the Dodgers, here's a great piece of property,
Yeah.
but they were
said,
stubborn.
No, we're a Brooklyn team.
Yeah.
And the owner said, hey, if you aren't going to let us build another stadium where Ebbets Field
Right.
was, we're going to move to
and
LA.
I think it was,
And
what,
they
4
did.
years later, David, the New York Metropolitans came?
Mets were what, 62, right?
Was it 62?
Yeah.
So 5 years later, the Metropolitans came
The Amazons.
at
Now,
Shea Stadium.
the thing with Robert Moses,
How do you know about Robert
well,
Moses?
I have my uncle that lives in Long Island gave me
right.
a
You got-
book on Robert Moses, and he built a whole pile of turnpikes and roads
Highway
and
stuff.
highways, the bridges.
LIE probably.
And he a lot of stuff in Long Island, and a couple of the beaches and the parks.
Yeah.
But where he was considered ahead of his time back in the 40s and 50s. Today he's considered kind of a bad guy because
Just
all
big time developer guy.
of the interstates they put in all cut through all the neighborhoods, just like
Yeah.
95 or 93 did through Boston.
And there was another interstate in Boston that they stopped that was going to come in from kind of the southwest there, that they managed to stop that one.
And the other thing where he really got in a lot of trouble is he built like hundreds of parks,
Yeah.
none in the poorer parts of town.
No, is that right?
Yeah.
And what he did was he tore down a lot of ghettos and put up those stupid high rises that you see today when you drive through the Bronx and all that. And those really, those never turned out good because there's nothing like a person owning their own house and having, at least a duplex.
Of course, when you have that many millions of people, it's maybe a little tough to have everybody.
Well, they all aren't living in a little brownstone. I have to agree with
Do
you.
you guys know what Robert Moses put up in place of Ebbets Field after it was torn down?
No.
Apartment complex.
Okay.
Oh, is that on that site?
Yep.
And he also, I'm not sure if he had the New York World's Fair in
I think he had a lot to do
1964.
with
I
that.
think,
yeah.
I think that was about, because he started in the 30s. He was literally the most powerful man in New York for a long time.
I bet.
Yeah, see these things here, those
Right.
were,
See, and they've still got the thing on it that says Ebbets Field in front of it. It's just
Wow.
apartments.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
well, we'll turn our attention. We spent a lot of time last week talking about the Giants, but they're in the headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Is he maybe going to be Gonzo or no way?
Not this year.
No.
So Eli Apple, our first round pick from 3 years ago out of
Gone.
Ohio State, was traded to the Saints yesterday for the 4th and 7th. Snack Harrison was traded
Wow.
today to the Lions,
Wow.
who have a horrible defensive line. They give up 5.2 yards per carry, so they needed a run stuffer. They got a 5th round pick
Wow.
today. And of course, the Giants are trying to
So
shed
they're just
salary.
stockpiling picks.
Yeah.
That's probably a good
the
way to
best.
go.
I think they finally,
Yeah.
this new regime just took a look at what they had
But,
and said,
you know,
forget it.
David and I have talked last few years about how Jerry Reese has destroyed this team,
Yeah.
and it's true. You just look
Oh,
back.
Eli,
Not this year.
No part of you.
Well,
wants
who
to,
needs them?
Isn't there some? It seems like I've heard a couple.
Jacksonville, as David said, and I read
Jacksonville.
today,
It's just-
Jacksonville's a great landing spot.
Right.
But it's
It
just
would be.
Tom
It's too late in the
Coughlin's
year.
too late.
There's
It's
no
too late.
There's
Mid-season.
no way. It's
Yeah.
just
So
not
he's not
realistic.
going anywhere.
But you
I
go,
don't know.
You
Football
go,
trades are so much more complicated than you're gonna go from this team to that team and then it's instantly gonna work. I mean, it takes 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
at
The
the
trading deadline
best.
is the third.
next Tuesday
yeah.
at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
But you look at the Giants' first round picks from 2011. Prince Amukamara.
Gone.
Okay. He was a
Wasn't terrible for.
He was okay.
Wasn't good.
injury
Wasn't
riddled.
bad.
I think he plays for the Bears. The next year, this guy would have been great. I want to know if you remember him. 37th pick, last pick of the first round. Giants coming off a Super Bowl year. They took David Wilson
He would have
running
been
back
great. He had a neck injury.
out of Virginia Tech and had a horrendous neck injury. This guy was super
I remember
fast,
him,
wore
yeah.
jersey number 22.
Yep.
There were only 2 running backs picked that year, Doug Martin being the first and David Wilson was the second. And he just played a handful of games. The following year, Justin Pugh, who's now good for him on the Cardinals. Odell Beckham, good talent. Eric Flowers, who was cut by the Giants 3 weeks ago, got nothing for him. The Jags picked him up. Eli Apple shuttled away yesterday. Just not good picks. And I had one other piece of literature here. The Giants have set about pretty much erasing recent draft picks from the roster. 2011 first-round pick, Jason Pierre-Paul was traded to the Buccaneers during the offseason. Justin Pugh was allowed to walk free agency. So too was 2014 second-round pick center Weston Richburg. Other 2014 picks let go during the offseason was safety Nate Burrell and linebacker Devon Kennard. Darian Thompson, Jarrell Adams, and now Apple are gone from the class of 2016. Davis Webb and offensive lineman Adam Bisnotwadi are gone from the class of 2017.
I guess Snacks was bad in the locker room. I guess he was real surly. He didn't want to do much.
Yeah, the only first-round picks from Jerry Reese, who was there for a good dozen years, that remain on the Giants are Odell Beckham from 14, and last year's pick, the tight end Evan Ingram. So it was just a matter of time. You can't constantly just do a horrible job with the draft picks. And listen, the Giants are 1-5,
Six.
1-6.
Okay, 1-6. If you can lose with guys like Apple and Snacks Harrison, well, you can lose with guys who are 21 years old and making minimum wage. But the Giants are a complete blow-up mode right now.
Well, I think that
you
they
want
see
him to
the
lose. You want him to
opportunity.
lose every.
Right now, it would be in the
every
best
game?
interest, like the Atlanta game Monday night was a watchable game.
Yeah.
Now, Eli, and I won't get into this week, sacked 4 times,
Really?
hit 9 times.
Is that right?
And again, any person that just sits there and starts slamming Eli, you know nothing about football.
You don't blame. You don't put any blame on Eli.
There's a
He's
smidgen.
not good. He's not like that Mahomes
sure
where he
doesn't
can
move well.
where he
Right.
can get out of harm's way.
Yeah.
But he would be before the ball even got there. They were on.
right?
They were knocking
Really?
him down.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the Giants have weapons offensively. I mean, Ingram and Beckham Jr. are 2 of the best weapons,
Shepard,
I think. And Shepard's not bad
is
either.
really good.
What
It's just-
about
and-
Mr.
and-
Beckham? Will they? What about ponder
He
trading?
had a
him?
very he caught for 153
They're stuck
yards.
So
with
would they
him.
ponder trading him and getting?
I would ponder it.
why are you keeping him if you're going to have a
You're stuck with
lousy
him. I mean,
team?
I
You've
don't
committed
think
all
they,
this money to him,
I
you're
don't
stuck
think they
with him.
think he's that
That's how it
bad.
works.
I mean,
No, but I mean, you have one great player on a.
hey,
on a
I'd get
lousy
rid of.
team.
I never
Why
would have
keep
given him the 90
Yeah,
million.
ditto. Yeah, and I expect the Jackrabbit, Janoris Jenkins, to be
He's gonna
traded
go.
Yeah.
by Tuesday. He looks disinterested. I still think he's a very good player, but he's just not interested right now with the Giants.
A lot of these guys need a change of scenery.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Wow.
the new guys got to get their they got to get their players in there.
Yeah,
Right.
and the Giants revamped their O-line again this week.
For the
they
15th time.
they pulled out the right guard. Help me, David, with the pronunciation. Patrick Omani, whatever his name. I can't.
yeah.
It takes me about 3 years on a difficult name to pronounce. So they took their center John Greco, moved him to right guard, and they put in Scott Poley, who they picked him up off waivers before the season. He was a starter for the Chargers last
Yes.
year, but they signed Mike Pouncey.
Yep.
His brother also plays in the league,
Right.
and he signed a free agent contract with the Chargers, so he played. Did they do any better? Not really. It's just, and the other source of bad news, I don't believe it, but Justin Herbert, the 6'6", 230
Washington
quarterback
State.
out of Oregon, he's saying
Oregon.
He's saying that he thinks he wants to stay his senior
really?
year.
He's
in
a junior.
Oregon.
He's a junior.
I mean, if you saw the Giants' offensive line,
No.
would you want to go play for
But
them?
you can't get any higher than the first overall pick. Now, if you thought last year's quarterback class was bad, which I thought it was, this year is
this
worse.
worse?
You've
Is it
got
really?
Herbert, and Drew Lock out of Missouri. Your friend Daniel Jones out of Duke.
Not coming off my boy, the Duke. He's had a bad game
he
against
could be a
the
second-round
Cavaliers.
pick, but there's just a dearth of talent, and the Giants will be forced into getting
What about
Herbert.
NC State's always got good QB.
NC State's got
pretty good
a guy named
quarterback.
Ryan Finley, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sounds
and
right.
the guy out of
Pretty
West
good.
Virginia, Will Gear.
Will Greer. I don't
Yeah,
think Will
Mike
Greer
Greer,
is a
But not a lot of
Right,
highly
he's
talented
probably
in
second.
NFL.
You know who Will Gear was?
He was on the
Grandpa and the Waltons.
Will Gear. He was a communist too during the McCarthy era.
Really?
Yeah, he was a commie. Yeah.
So survived that.
Yeah.
huh?
But you mentioned about I said their root for the Giants to lose. I don't want to say
tough,
I
huh?
don't root for them lose, but I don't get upset because right now I'm not an American. I'm a Japanese guy. Japanese always look forward, not like the next 2-3 years, 20 years down the road, and that's what I'm looking at.
But you're
as
kind
a
of
Gi-
surprised. Weren't you expecting at least a fairly decent
I
team?
predicted, as Red said,
500
they
at
have
least?
nice offensive weapons, good enough to get them to an 8-8 season. And lo and behold, it's not a good division this year. We're playing the Skins this weekend. They're atop, who I predicted last place in the Eastern Conference with a 4-2 record with Alex Smith at the helm.
Here's what I think about the Giants, though. What if instead of taking a quarterback, if you get that first pick this year, trade down, maybe get another first-round pick next year, so you have two, get an offensive
I
lineman.
don't have an issue because I think,
Especially if Herbert
in your
stays.
vein, you trade down, you might be in position to still get Drew Lock out of Missouri and still get a top caliber offensive
Right.
lineman. So
Right.
I personally thought, as great as Barkley is, and he's much better than I could even imagine.
Yeah, I never thought he was
Right,
as good as
just
he is.
this guy, Jim Brown wishes he was as talented as Barkley is God.
Right.
But when you're running behind that line, I would have traded
it's-
that second
At
overall
the same
pick.
time, I mean, are you gonna? Do you think it's really gonna be beneficial for a rookie quarterback who, if it's not Herbert, there's gonna be a lot of question marks. Is this guy gonna be able to get the job done? Do you want to stick him against behind a line that's that bad, or do you want to build up the line first and then draft a quarterback 3 years down the line who has really good protection?
Here's what I think is going to happen: is Eli's final year on his contract next year, $17 million. If they cut him, it'll count $6.2 million on cap.
I heard they got already, now that they've made these trades, they've already got $33 or $35 million
Extra, yep.
on the salary cap
Good,
for next year.
Good. I think they'll keep Eli, and once they have another debacle midseason, they'll put Herbert in. Now, if you remember when Eli was drafted, he did not start. Do you remember who the starter was?
It was the guy, no,
Number 13.
he was with the Rams, Kurt Warner.
Yeah, exactly. And Warner was playing fine, but Eli was the future, so they let him ride the pine for about a half season. Warner went to the bench, and Eli's been there 15 years as a starter.
Yeah.
So,
I think they'll let Eli go at the end of the year or trade him. If they don't trade him in the next week,
They won't.
And you think they might?
and I think they might, and what they may do is go with that guy they've got now, Laudetta or
Blake Bortles.
Laudette.
Oh, well, the
Kyle
Giants,
Lauletta?
Kyle
Let 'em-
Lauletta
let's
from
see what they
Richmond,
got.
Richmond
Right,
Spider.
you got nothing to lose, David.
And then maybe next year, get one of these second-tier free agents like Nick Foles or somebody like that,
yeah.
just as a place setter.
Yeah, because if Tom Coughlin still thinks, and I think Manning still has some good football left in him, even if they trade for him this week,
He can learn.
play in the playbook and be ready for next.
He's still
next year.
he's way better than Blake Bortles.
Yep. And Blake Bortles was a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
I think he came from Central Florida.
Yep.
But it's such a crapshoot. It's about a 50-50. If it's even that good, that your first-round draft pick quarterback will succeed. And that's actually probably more of a third of a chance you're going to succeed.
Yeah, I don't even think, if I'm the Giants, though, even like if you're going to trade Eli Manning, I don't think he's worth a 7th round pick.
All right, not
you
a
get a-
7th round pick.
I'm not giving
Oh,
up a
Red,
seventh round
you're
pick.
mean. You're a mean person.
You've got a 36-year-old quarterback who
He-
might not even
right.
play 2 years
He-
down the road. Come on.
He's a
I mean,
quarterback. I would
seventh
say
round.
a fifth. We would Gardner a fifth.
Maybe a third even. It
I
depends
think
how bad
I
it
think
is.
30.
I would be
I
guessing,
think all 30.
third, fourth,
But-
no lower.
but-
than
I
five
think
or
all
something.
31 NFL teams
the
would hang up.
problem
on
with the Jags this year is the big bruising back. Leonard Fournette's been injured all year with a hammy, and he's still going to be out for a couple more weeks.
and their
Put-
defense is kind of just expired.
Right.
I don't know
as
what
great
happened
as their
there,
defense. But if they can rejuvenate with Manning and quarterback, and he's got a world-class runner in Fournette, and he's your granddaddy's running back. He's just going to get 4 yards every time he touches the
At
ball.
what time in his entire career, though, has Eli Manning been a great quarterback, though? I know we've had this discussion before, but
Almost all of it.
All I know is
Dave,
he's won
wait,
2
what?
Super Bowls
Red-
against
and Nick Foles has won a Super Bowl, so has
against
Joe
a
Flacco.
very good team.
The tour's right there, the exit tour. It's been really nice having you on the Best Damn Sports Show, but there comes a point where I could just
He's
listen,
a
Isn't
first
he in-
ballot
isn't
Hall
he-
of Famer.
Isn't he top 10 in all kinds?
yes,
Yeah, he is.
He's, He's
He is.
top 10, close to top 5 in all passing marks. 2-time MVP. He beat. Listen, let alone he won 2 world championships. He beat a team that was 16-0.
Thank you for
that was a
reminding me.
double-digit favorite. And I told Duke,
Were they a
I said,
double-digit favorite?
Yeah, and I said, Duke, we have no chance of winning. My
Well,
only
what do you think this guy?
right. And my
tells
goal
me?
was let's just beat the spread. Let's walk out of this game with some respect. Let's beat
Can't
the
believe
spread.
they won both those
Right.
games.
Well, the other thing the thing that's really too bad, he's done what they wanted to do. Back when he first started, they were almost like the old Oakland Raiders, deep downfield team. Now he could have always had better passing percentages. Now he's got a great passing percentage. He's got nothing.
Right. Thank you, David. It looks so unusual to see him dinking this year. He's probably thrown more dink passes this year in his whole
Well,
career.
it's 'cause he's-
he's always been, you're right, a vertical passer where his, say the average was 64.5 of the league percentage. He was like 58.5% because he went downfield a lot more.
His career quarterback rating for Eli Manning, 83.9. That's not that great. Phillip Rivers is 95.6.
How many Super Bowl rings does Phil Rivers have?
Does a ring mean anything to you? Does winning count for you?
I don't know. I mean, it's the same thing. Quarterbacks.
Would the
aren't
Giants have
what
been
wins you
better
Super
off
Bowls.
keeping Phil Rivers and the other 2 first-round picks they got?
Wait, I just found
Instead of Eli
I
Manning?
just found Nick's contract.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to
I
let you
just
stay here
don't-
this week. Either you're going to have to send me a 250-word apology.
Say on why Eli
I don't know.
Manning-
I don't see it. His way. I mean,
His QBR has gone down drastically the last half dozen years because he plays on a horrid team.
Hasn't Leonard gotten on Eli's case before on the
Yeah, a
show?
little
Or am I
bit.
dreaming that? A bit anyway?
232 interceptions. I mean, only a
How
60% career
How many
completion
touchdown
rating.
passes?
346. So really, I mean, it's
How many
above
touchdown
average,
passes
but
did the great Phil Sims throw?
it's not
199.
it's not comparable because it's two completely different leagues. Honestly,
I will give you that. Touchdown passes are a lot easier today than they
Right.
were 30 years ago.
but I mean, like, yeah, I just
I think you're very
I think,
hard, and I think you're listening to the New York media way
No,
too
I
much.
think at his best, Eli Manning.
At his best, he's the best there is.
David,
At his best,
No way.
he was better than Tom Brady. At his best.
yes, he was.
He was better
Yes.
than Tom Brady at his
And
best.
do you know how
You cannot
can
be
say
serious.
that? Oh, wait, of course
You
he's
cannot be
serious. Because he faced
He's
Tom
definitely
Brady.
serious.
He
He
went
beat-
nose to nose with Tom Brady.
And then even the regular season games the Giants had with the Patriots,
No, in fact, the
Manning was just as good as
the Pats
Brady.
undefeated season. The Giants should have. In fact,
They should have beat him the last regular
and the
season
Pat- had
game.
they beaten him, it probably
Right.
would have been better for the Patriots.
Yeah.
So you're saying because Eli Manning beat the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl that he is a better quarterback than Tom Brady?
No, I didn't
not.
say that.
He didn't say that.
At his best.
At his best.
Now he wasn't
better than
always
the-
at his best, and the teams that he's had to play for were a lot weaker. I think the best Giant team of all, I think, was the 08 team that started the season 10-0.
that when Plaxico
And then
shot.
Plaxico Burress
Oh,
shot himself in the
agreed,
leg.
David, agreed.
That team was going to the Super Bowl. They got short.
I don't know. 07 was the year they win the
Super Bowl in 07.
Super Bowl was 07. 23 touchdowns, 20 interceptions.
One Super Bowl championship.
Right, but he was gritty.
He led the league in interceptions, David.
That doesn't.
Dude, didn't I tell you my old age?
You know
as
who
I
else had a lot of
entered the
interceptions?
60s,
Joe Namath.
What my goal is.
He threw 27 interceptions in 2013, David. 27.
David.
He's knocked on his butt.
I told Duke recently now that I've entered my 6th decade, what I'm doing, I avoid conflict. Okay, I don't have any energy left to fight. Then this young kid comes here and starts irritating me on a.
No,
he only
Eli
completed 56.1% of
plenty
his passes in 07. I think Manning, he's a good quarterback. I think, above average, but
Eli
not
threw for
not in
300
the same discussion.
390 yards last week.
399 Monday night.
Okay. I mean, that's the Falcons. They have one of the worst defenses in football.
And the Giants have the
I hate
worst
to
stuff.
tell you, you've entered your seventh
Decade, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but again,
I
I'm
don't
the
know.
old guy, but just for the record.
Did I tell you?
The rings are good for something. I'll give you that, but I don't
No,
know.
and he really should have had 3 because that year Plexico Burress shot himself.
no doubt. That was the best
That
team.
team was a juggernaut.
I'm not sure. So you're going to tell me he should have? You don't think the Patriots, in fairness, should have won at least one of those?
They should have won
games?
both of those games, but they didn't.
Well, I'm not so.
They
but
were
when
the
you
better
say-
team.
When you say he
Listen.
should have won a third, I guess
Dude,
I have
I will
trouble
never
with that
sit
statement.
here and tell you the 2 New York Giant teams that beat the Patriots are a better team. Not even close.
No.
It's just the game plans, everything worked for
It
them.
just-
that day.
I just thanked Julian Edelman for the unbelievable catch 2 seasons ago when they won when the Pats won
They're,
the last Super
the
Bowl.
Giants
that got
really-
me away from the nightmares that I have monthly about David Tyree.
The
Finally.
Giants only have one Super Bowl where they were the legitimate number 1 powerhouse team.
That was against Denver.
That was 85.
Now,
Or 86,
now,
excuse
if you
me, the year
remember
after the
when we
Bears.
played Buffalo, Buffalo might have been
Buffalo had a great team.
Poor
Great
Buff- poor Buffalo.
Great team. They might have been a double-digit team. What the
Buffalo.
Giants did, it was O.J. Anderson, the running
Yes.
back. He won the MVP of the.
And they,
they had the ball for I think 34 to 16 minutes against Buffalo.
no,
They
it was 39 to 21.
Red.
And was
go
that the
ahead.
one where
Listen,
Buffalo
you've
missed
got
the
to be
field
of
goal?
some use to me. Check the.
Time of possession, I
Time of
think, was
possession.
39 to 21.
What Super Bowl is this?
What year, David, was that?
When the Buffaloes
91.
won.
That was the Super. Oh, we got a caller. That was the
We have
Super
a
Bowl.
call.
Whitney Houston sang the national
She
anthem.
lip synced it, is what she did. Good evening.
yeah,
You're the
19
first
minutes.
participant, and let's replace Red Mumley. So go ahead.
Hey, hi guys. I don't want to interrupt the Giants thing, but could you give me an update on maybe Gronk and Michelle for the Patriots?
I can tell you,
You guys know.
Sonny Michel is officially out for Sunday.
Right.
But it looks
But
like.
it's
But the
not-
big news is it looked at
not
quick glance
season-ending,
like a
yeah.
season-ending
Right.
injury.
No
I think
surgery
Gronk
required.
will be back. He was just kind of a game time
Yeah.
scratch. I think Gronk's back. Michelle not for
Not as
maybe a
serious as they
few weeks.
initially thought.
So yeah, good.
I thought when you said Michelle, you were talking about his Sports Illustrated swimsuit girlfriend.
So what about the Pat? We haven't talked Pats at all. What a kind of a weird game against Chicago. I didn't really see
Right.
it, but
Back and forth.
take a
almost.
win, but kind of a
Another
strange
question.
game.
You guys seem to be somewhat Giant fans. Not all of you, but
Not all
can
of
you
us.
remember? Was it Roosevelt Greer?
Yes.
Cat Cabbage. What was it? What was his name? Cat Cabbage.
Jim Cat Cabbage.
When I watched the Giants.
Yeah,
Number 85.
yeah.
Andy Robustelli.
Jim
Yes,
Cat-
yeah.
Jim
Frank
Catkavage
Gifford.
actually started his career as a defensive tackle of the Giants.
Really?
Then midway in his career, he converted over to an offensive lineman.
Really?
Yep.
Oh yeah, some great names from those teams.
My
He
dad
played at the same
Webster?
time as Y.A. Tittle.
Yep.
There you go.
and Charlie Connerly.
Alex Webster.
Way before my time.
Frank Gifford.
Yeah, I mentioned Frank.
Yeah.
And that's when they had,
Del Schaffner.
how about that's when they had Vince Lombardi and Tom Landry as their assistant coaches.
Yep.
Wow.
Think about that.
Lombardi, defensive coordinator, and Landry, offensive coordinator. Yep. So
Yeah, that brings back some good, my early TV football memories.
Yeah, well, my dad played for Brigham Academy. Believe it or not, had a football team,
Really?
and he was
Bakersfield.
quarterback because he was also a good pitcher. And they played, I think, Newport, North Country or something. Said he got knocked out, and he didn't come to until he was back to Brigham Academy, which is a 2 or 3 hour drive.
Really? Really? Didn't take him to the hospital or anything in Newport?
Not in those days.
It was 1932.
Wow.
yeah,
So
he had his bell rung.
I'm glad he came around, obviously. So are you a Patriots kind of guy?
well, I have been for a few years. I figure if I live in New England, I might as well cheer for them.
Yeah, hey, they're my guys. I grew up with the Giants, but the Pats are my guy. Nick,
Yeah.
you're a Pats guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a split panel here.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'll let you go.
Hey, call again. Good to
Thank
hear
you
from
so much for calling.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Doug. Good night.
So yeah, I do want to before we move on here. I was looking up the time of possession. The Giants had 39 run plays in that game. The time of possession, get this, 40 minutes and 33 seconds to the Buffalo Bills 19 minutes.
That's
Wow, is that right? 2-1?
just
I was
unheard
close.
of.
I was
Right.
close on night.
But Red,
Unreal.
running the ball 39 times in one game.
Right.
That was OJ, right? That did that.
O.J. Anderson?
Yes.
And the
Yes.
other thing that
How much did he run for? Does it show?
I'm not sure. I think it was
he had like
172.
120 or
Really?
Yeah.
The other thing that was so cool about that game is Belichick devised a defense where they let Thurman Thomas run wild and instead focused on punishing the receivers. And so they let Thurman Thomas get his yardage, but they didn't let the receivers get much.
Andre Reed was their stud. Yep.
And Belichick was great.
Yep. Yeah.
He was
He would be the head coach of the Giants today if.
Parcells hadn't quit.
But even after last season, there's no doubt in my mind, and I've read that it was always his goal, no matter what, to coach the New York Giants. And if who's the owner of the Patriots?
And so why did that
Who's the
not?
owner of the Patriots? Robert Kraft
Kraft.
would not let him out of his contract. Now, I don't know if he went up to him and said, I want to go.
You
but
think if Kraft had let him out of his contract, Belichick
he would have made
left?
one call to the Mara family and said, I'm your next coach. And it would have been that simple.
Well, that's a little hard for me to
Yep.
believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, look, he's what, 65 years
Yeah,
old?
but,
He's not a-
he's also looking at, maybe a few more Super Bowls with TB12 in his
Right.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but he just loved New York. So,
Yeah. I mean, whether it happened or not, didn't end up happening. So I don't think it's, it would have been interesting, I think, for sure. But
now the Patriots-Chicago game, I recorded the
Yeah,
game.
weird game.
I think I was golfing Sunday afternoon.
And not to mention the end
And
of it. God.
I couldn't help myself to check my fantasy league scores. And unfortunately, I saw the 38-31. Well, once you know the score, and it's not really your team, you really don't have much
I
interest.
didn't even know about the last play for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's
unreal.
kind of crazy. Yeah.
But it's interesting, too, the last 2 weeks, the Patriots playing against the upcomers, Mahomes last week and Trubisky this week. So
They've got Buffalo for the Monday night game.
Oh.
Buffalo, a good defense, I guess offense, but Buffalo's got a good defensive team.
Well, they gave up 37 points
Don't
to the
they?
Colts.
No,
so
is that right? That's a line.
I
but
think,
it's not so good.
the Pats are 14-point picks. How
they? Yeah, I
the
saw that.
TV execs decide, yeah, we
Interesting.
want
kind of a
well,
strange Monday night game.
The New York Giants coming off
What about
a
the
3-13 season. What idiots.
Monday
Four
night now
times.
Monday
is
night
the
is just-
lowest.
Right.
They
All
give
right.
nothing.
Well, the big games this year.
The big
on
games
Thursday.
are Sunday
The
night.
Sunday night
and
games
and,
are the
Thursday.
big
and
game.
Sunday. Yeah.
And speaking of Sunday night, and when you have a bad football team, because in the past when the Giants are good, you have an emotional interest because you're following your standings to watch the Skins, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. We're fighting for that playoff spot. Well, we're fighting for nothing now. But they're on Monday night. Jason Witten, one of my all-time favorite opponents. I just thought the world of Witten. He could do it all, and he kept his mouth shut.
Terrible.
Okay. Oh,
He's
as much as I detest this guy to my right, I would rather have Red doing the color I like the guy. I love the guy. What a great player, great person.
Terrible, huh?
It's just because you were a good football player doesn't mean you're going to be great up on the booth. And I don't even know who the play-by-play guy was.
He's awful too.
You know, it was like real, like Division III football. You know, it might have been like Norwich playing Wesleyan. Those type of.
Sunday night's pretty nice. Al Michaels and Chris.
Yeah, they're good.
Those guys are good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, what about let's see, the
Monday
switch-
night football is really faded.
You could switch to golf quickly.
I was going to say Brooks Koepka.
Okay.
I watched quite of that.
Is that right? I didn't catch any of that.
You watched that?
I watched it like the day before.
Or am I a week off?
No,
Somewhere over there, right?
It was
Southeastern
Nine
Asia?
Bridges in Korea.
On Korea? Okay.
In Korea,
The CJ Cup.
the CJ Cup.
Okay.
Of course,
so
this rep.
Koepka wins and is now the new number one.
Well, Koepka had a big lead going into Sunday, and then on Sunday, Woodland shot a 61.
Did he on
And
Sunday?
by the time they got to 16 or 15, Woodland had tied him, and then Koepka got like birdie eagle or something to win it.
And this counts,
Is that right?
guys?
Wow.
Oh, absolutely.
FedEx
Oh yeah,
points?
it's official. Again, it was a third straight. Was that the second of three over there?
There's one more. I think they've got
Maybe
the
one-
one in China.
Maybe one
This
more.
week.
Oh yeah, no, the wraparound season
Simba.
it started in the U.S. and in California, Sonoma. I
Started
think.
So
with
you're
Napa.
saying
They went over-
a
this is
win
official.
in South Korea
Absolutely
it's
means
worth
just as much as a win in Kapalua, Hawaii?
Absolutely.
In terms of getting to.
You get your 2-year exemption. You get your
Oh,
your
yeah.
500 FedEx points.
Oh yeah, this is totally.
But who can
legit.
play golf for 12 months a year?
They have 46 events.
Yeah, I mean every. Is there one sport that isn't that we see that there's not too much of?
There's got to be golfers out there, and they're all great, but guys that have zero chance of ever even contending top 10, that they need to keep playing to hope they play in the weekend just to earn a paycheck.
Well, the thing is, you've got to play 26 weeks.
26, yeah.
You've got to play in 26
Didn't
weeks.
Jordan Spieth didn't he come up 1
missed
week
one
short?
But they'll, because he's Jordan Spieth, he didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Because he didn't make the final cut for the FedEx Cup.
Yeah, right. He missed
But
out
these
on that.
tournaments, my God, these guys are just going to be so sick
I
of
mean, you hear
golf.
believe me, you hear tennis players complaining about the same thing. That season basically never ends. We talk all the time about baseball. To get it down to 154 games. Football, I mean, it's kind of a long season. When they talk about bagging 2 exhibition games and throwing 2 more regular season games.
Can you imagine if they had 2 more regular season games? Who'd watch them?
God.
Yeah.
Well, everybody'd be hurt.
If they did, they'd have to. We talked about throw in another bye week at least, but then you get a pretty long season.
So
They should just get rid of the exhibition games, period, except they charge full fare on the
They
Oh,
tickets.
sure. That's how, sure.
So, Red, I had a topic last week I wanted to ask you, but we were so immersed in New York Giant football. Oh, how could we? But Missisquoi, they postponed. They forfeited their last 2 football games of the
really?
season. They had to forfeit earlier in the season because of injuries. They only had like 16.
Is
dressed
this gone?
players.
Is
so
next year
that's my
gone?
question, Red. You seem to have your thumb on the pulse here.
Wow, it's too
What's the
bad.
future for Missisquoi football?
Doesn't look good. I mean,
Is there a future?
they've got
is the question.
like I've said on the show before, they've got a really good coach. But I think it's too little, too late.
Would they maybe join with nothing else? Get together with BFA and have a joint team with BFA.
I don't think anybody on MVU would make BFA, honestly.
right?
I mean,
No,
these are all
wouldn't
kids that have never played football before.
But
And not to knock the kids, but
No,
I mean,
sure.
you just can't.
Sure.
They've been trying to put on this charade where, okay, we're going to start teaching these kids how to play football once they get to 9th grade. Meanwhile, every other team in the state that has feeder programs is working on the basics or working on the fundamentals with all these kids and systems
And
and
there's
different
no feeder.
plays and
There's
stuff.
no
No
feeder,
feeder program at all.
starting in Swanton. or
I don't
anything?
think that this is the very end for MVU football. I think it's the end for a while.
Oh, really?
Basically, I don't think that there's going to be
Maybe start with the forget
Right.
varsity.
I don't
start
think-
with some feeder programs.
right. I don't
and-
think that there will be a varsity team next year.
Really.
Now,
So I'll tell
obviously,
you-
that's just my speculation. Nothing. I have nobody that's told me there's not going to be a varsity
Well, it sure
team.
looks
Yes.
pretty shaky.
Right.
Somebody told me, and I don't remember who, that they could end up inviting Enosburg.
They already did. This was the team they had
is that
this year
right?
was with Enosburg.
Were
like
they
17.
Enosburg kids on
That's
the
just
team?
kid. I
I
mean,
think
there's certainly no
maybe
feeder
one or
program
two.
in
Yeah,
Enid, but there's
and
some
I
kids who
talked to
probably
Rob
wanna play
Coffey, the
football.
father of the head
Chad.
coach.
Right, yeah, Chad.
And just talking to Rob, he says he graduates 20 players off the Steeler program every year.
Is that
And
right?
So,
Wow.
so BFA's getting 20 incoming freshmen
Wow.
that know the basics and the
Look
fundamentals.
at BFA. They're average and
They
D1
missed the
this year,
playoffs
so-
this year.
Yeah, they
Geez,
missed
so
the
what? They
playoffs.
beat Brattleboro, but two of the
Right,
higher
yeah.
seeded teams lost,
Yeah.
which messed them up.
They went-
They're playing a consolation game again, Brattleboro. I read that in the Messenger. I said it was a
I know
weird
they played
story.
Brattleboro last Friday.
Right, they beat them, but the story was they're not making the real
Right.
playoffs because of bad luck.
Right,
But
for the
they're
ninth
playing
week.
they're playing a consolation game against Brattleboro.
Right, because there are 11 teams in the division, and they were ranked
No,
9th.
really.
I will tell you, Nick, where you're wrong again,
I love it.
Hey, Nick's taking a beating. Poor Nick's taking a beating tonight.
is
Nick, I hope we see you next
I
week.
think in football, a feeder program is a little bit overrated in that,
Clearly, it's not in this situation.
well, no, but what I'm getting at is what you'd need, though, is two teams. You need to have a varsity and a JV because
Yeah, well.
I had a kid, my oldest son, never played football. Senior year, tried out for football, played a lot. And I think if you are an athlete, football is the one sport, unlike hockey where you have to learn how to skate, or basketball where you got to learn all this stuff. I think if you can run and you're strong and you like hitting people, you can play football. And I've always thought that we waste way too much time on all our youth sports, like baseball. When you go, hey, I've had 5 kids. And you know how many
man.
T-ball games I've been to, and coaches pitch and all that, and the kids are out there picking dandelions.
Right, they do. They do.
They've got we shouldn't let kids play any sports till about 10 or 11, and I'll guarantee you that they'll be just as good as they'd have been if they'd have been playing sports since they were 5, because we wear them out. They're bored with it. And because I've had kids that didn't even start skating till like 9, 10 years old, who play high school hockey. They're playing. Look at Steve Ock. He never even skated till 8th grade. He was the first liner as a freshman at BFA back in the glory days.
Steve Vaught graduated with me, class of 76, best athlete in the class, and he's right. He didn't start skating, he just did it for the heck of it.
No, it's just that's what they've done. It's not working. I mean, you keep doing that. It's just burying your head farther in the sand.
Well,
by
they
saying
don't have enough kids.
They don't have enough kids, and so that's where the problem
Well,
starts.
part of
You
the
need
problem
to get
too,
the kids
when you don't
into
have
it
the
to begin
numbers, you're automatically you're the wide receiver, you're the running.
Right.
There's no daily competition. Like David's got the running. I
Well,
want
these
to. I
kids-
want to be the running
yeah.
back. I'm going to work harder to knock
These
him
kids,
off.
they just, I mean, they don't know the basics of football. They show up as freshmen. They don't know how to tackle anybody. They don't know how to catch the
See,
ball.
if they
don't
had
know
a
how to-
JV team or a freshman team.
See, that's what
Well,
they
that's
tried.
maybe what they should.
That's what they
should
tried to do. They
work
started
on.
as a JV team for 2-3 years, and they had. I mean, they had success playing the bad teams JV
Well,
teams,
what
but then
happened was
it just.
the first 2 years, freshmen through seniors, the whole team, we played JV teams. Well, there's a big physical difference between a 17-and-a-half-year-old versus a 13-year-old
Yes.
kid.
Right.
And Missisquoi looked bigger than the JV teams, and we went like 5-2 the first season.
Yeah.
Might have went 4-3
Against JV teams.
Third year, we went to the varsity level, no wins. Second year, maybe no wins. Last year, they beat BFA Fairfax for their one and only victory.
How did they pull
Well,
that
okay,
off?
so they beat BFA Fairfax because there was about half of the BFA Fairfax team. It was more than 5 of their starters committed there was some sort of violation. Not
so
sure
were
if they got in trouble.
suspended.
Not sure if it was academics or something, but they couldn't
suspended.
play. So MVU basically played a glorified MVU
yeah.
and won. So.
So,
Oh, so we got another
Better
caller.
call, Hawk.
so good evening. You are on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Go ahead.
Gentlemen,
Hi,
They
Fitzy.
don't, Feds.
an august-looking group for sure.
Yeah.
Now listen, back to Missisquoi. Morning quarterbacks are great people. Missisquoi is a soccer school. Period.
Even though they lost yesterday in the first round to the
I know,
13
but I mean,
seeded Hartford.
so far as trying to grow a football.
Wait. The girls'
it's
soccer
a
team
soccer
hasn't won a game
mentality.
in years.
Right. Well, boys
they
soccer
used-
historically
They used to
is
be a
much
good
better.
soccer team. But in fact,
MVU is not a school for any sports.
I
at this
think
point.
MVU soccer program had to drop their JV program due to the lack of numbers a couple years ago.
No,
They
we still got it.
Well, then they brought it back, but I remember 2-3 years ago.
We
they
dropped it for baseball. We didn't drop. We
But
never
they-
dropped JV soccer.
What they don't have is a lot of
I'm
guys.
I'm not talking about numbers now. I'm talking about traditionally.
Right.
They've been a soccer school,
Right.
strong.
Yep.
They're not a football school, and I don't believe they're going to be.
Well, I mean, they're not going to have football next year if it
Yeah, I
keeps
know.
going like this. So, but yeah, I mean, the tradition's definitely there for soccer. I was, part of that program for 4 years. So,
Sure.
the tradition's there. It's just, the results aren't because the numbers aren't there. So, I mean, they were stuck up in Division I for a while, and they finally got their first home playoff game for the first time since Matt Sainamore graduated. That was yesterday, and they went out. And they were the 4 seed, and they lost to the 13. So,
Did they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're on their way back up. There's a couple. I think that there's a couple of things that still need to change there for them to really find their maximum potential. But when I was there, for 4 years, we won maybe 5-6 games in that entire span. This year they dropped down to Division II. They won 5-6 games by themselves this year. So there's a lot of talent. They went out and beat Enosburg for the first time in a couple of years, competed with BFA. I mean, when I was in school, every time we went to Collins Pearly, we got beat by, at least 5 goals
Really?
in the night game there. I remember a game losing 10-0
Really?
under the lights at BFA. Most embarrassing night of my life.
That sounds tough.
But they've gone out. They've made a lot of strides in the last couple of years. I think that tradition is coming back, and I think that a lot of the reason why they went downhill so fast was because football took a lot of good soccer players away from the program. Now
Yeah, that's
football's
right.
not as big of a problem. Maybe it could become a
I
a
do
thing
too
for
much
you.
with too little.
Right.
Yeah, that could be.
I mean, the numbers just aren't there to have a good football team and a good soccer team, at any level. I mean, they're just,
I'll
it's
let
just
you
not a big
boys
enough school.
continue on.
Thanks,
Everybody
Fitz.
seems to be well. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for a good show.
Fitz, how about them Red Sox?
Oh, they're looking tough. That's a good ball club.
Yeah, they are.
David
They're
and I
good.
were talking the other night, Monday night, about that ball club, and David had some good thoughts about the team, and it takes a lot to get David excited emotionally. He's a very calm fellow.
I
And
used to
he
be
seemed
a lot more
high on
wild
the
than
Red
I
Sox.
am.
I thought he was a big Red Sox fan when I talked to him the other night.
Well, I
was
like the
doing
way
well
they
with
play.
Yeah, he's had good words for the Sox.
Well, they look tough.
They do.
And their manager seems to be a calm, cool, collective guy. Doesn't get rattled very much,
Right.
and I think he's been good for them. I'm pleased he's done so well.
Yeah, how could you possibly suggest otherwise? No, he's had.
I
he's
never
had a
thought
great year.
Farrell was that good anyway.
Oh, I never did either.
And
For
clearly,
the record, the
clearly
guy didn't
compared
have 2 straight 93-win seasons.
with the team that probably should have been winning 105.
No,
Yeah,
Coors
they had
were
the
great.
horses.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Farrell was PD this and JoJo that and Herbie here and
he had no
there.
personality.
I
That
don't.
was- that was
I don't
his
think he
thing.
can control the players.
Yeah. No, he was. Yeah.
He didn't seem to be that type of guy. But they look tough, Richard. You're looking tough, Richard.
Sox are looking tough, but I assume nothing. I'll feel a
your
lot
golf
better if
game
they
gone?
win tonight. What's that?
Is your golf game all over with?
Well, Nighthawks still playing. I hardly got started. It's been kind of a lost season for me.
They
I'm
shut
glad-
down
I'm
early
glad a
up
couple
there
of people
today.
around here play golf.
Well,
I'd
they
like to
never
think I might
opened,
play
don't
another
think.
time
Did they
or
hunt
two.
Nighthawk?
What's that, Fitz?
I don't think they opened today at all, did they?
No, they started a 40-degree rule.
No, is
If
that
they
right?
don't hit 40 degrees, they're not going to open the course.
Plus, snow might have been a bit of a factor
Yeah,
this
that's-
morning,
Yeah.
too.
So David's hopeful to get out there Friday. Ditto for me. I'm planning on playing mid-afternoon Friday. It's supposed to close the day after Veterans Day, the 12th.
Yeah.
So, you only have a few whacks left. So.
By the way, Nighthawk, do we play you guys this year, I hope?
Red Sox and no.
No. Vikings and Giants? No, they don't, do they?
No.
Vikes and Giants.
Yeah. No, I know what you're thinking. You just want a sure victory.
No, not necessarily. I like to play the Giants.
Everybody does.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
but
terrible.
all the drought they've had in New York City all summer, and suddenly becomes very wet with tears.
Yeah, exactly. So.
I see you guys.
Okay, bye.
If that's-
See you later, Fitzy.
So before we go, a few minutes left. I just want to say something nice, and it was still baseball season.
About Red, I trust.
No, I don't lie. The Montreal Canadiens
I was about to mention the
sit
Habs.
atop the Eastern Conference with
Oh.
12 points. They have played 8. Bruins have 12. Tampa has 12, but they each played 9. The Canadiens are playing fun hockey. Do we have a call?
Can they?
No,
Can they?
85
Can they
minutes.
keep this up, Hawk?
Oh,
Is this-
absolutely not. No.
But nice to get
but
off to
it's
a good
fun to
start,
see
huh?
him. Yeah.
Good start.
They
But-
got a bunch of young guys, right?
Yeah, they're the second youngest team in hockey.
Are they really?
But the
Wow.
Bruins, this David Pastrnak has turned himself into a
He's
top
good.
5 player,
He's
little
good.
Czechoslovakian player. Then you couple him with Brad Marchand, who is the ultimate team guy in hockey.
mention, what
And
about Patrice Bergeron? I love Patrice
Mr.
Bergeron.
Overall play. I mean,
Right.
so you've got the Bruins, you've got
And pretty
the
good
Leafs.
goals- pretty good
The Leafs
goaltending.
this year can score a ton of goals.
Charlie McAvoy, some great young players.
And the Lightning are the big 3, and I put them above the champs, the Caps, and the Penguins.
Really?
So I just think Rask is off to his typical slow start, but they picked up a great backup in former Canadian Yaroslav Halak.
Yeah.
He's got like a 1.74 goals against average.
If you listen to the Boston media, Tuukka Rask is playing for his job.
Yeah, they
It's the same thing, actually. The same
Last
thing
year.
happened last year. Their backup last year was a better goalie.
Anton Khudobin.
Khudobin was
yeah.
a better goalie for half the season
Yeah.
anyway. Tuukka
Yeah.
finally got it going
Yeah.
later.
But the Bruins could be in the finals this year, but again, it's so tough to get there, and I know David espouses that. There's not a tougher championship to make. Than
You pay zero attention to at this
I
point?
haven't watched one
I haven't watched
second
much.
of NHL hockey.
Of course, the sub.
I'll watch once baseball ends. Interesting stat about the NHL last night. You know what the rating for the game on Nesson was last night? Bruins at Senators?
Don't
I'm
tell me
actually
it was.
curious.
Don't tell me it was better than the Red Sox.
No, 0.8.
It's just not, is that right?
Meaning about 800,000
Well,
people tuned
right.
in for
Is that
that game.
right?
One thing we all
Red
agree
Sox
on
are pretty
is
big.
New England is the greatest baseball region in the
Right.
country.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt there.
The Celtics talk. It's wicked early, but boy, not a great start. But don't lose sleep at this
They're
point.
rusty. Toronto has got
Hey, Toronto.
got a great.
For those who just catapulted the Celtics, of course they're going to be in the finals. Again, we had a sharp conversation with one of our great callers out there. I mean, I assume Toronto. They got
Toronto's off
Leonard
to
and
4-0.
stuff. Toronto's
Kawhi
a good
Leonard is
team.
a top 5 all-round.
I'm not sure
player.
Toronto's not the best team in that division. at
Toronto
all.
looked good when they played Boston.
Yeah.
I don't think Toronto's close to. I don't think
Don't
they're
think
the
they're
best
as
team.
good?
Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, Sergei Ibaka's a good player. Jonas Valanciunas is the center.
And the Sixers-
It's
the Sixers are a
The
good
difference between the
team.
Raptors and the Celtics is depth.
Yeah.
I'm still confident with the Celtics' depth. They haven't looked all that great to start the year.
It's
a little bit
it's
shaky,
wicked
very shaky from 3. But
9
I'm-
out of 40 in their last
right,
game.
I'm
for
not
three.
I'm not concerned long term for them. I think they'll still go win 60 games.
And I
this year.
still think, Red, that they need to let Kyrie go and not sign him to a 30-some-odd
Well, I
million.
just don't know what to say
it's a
about
tough
Kyrie.
decision. yeah.
Because Tatum is the man. You've got Hayward there. Jalen Brown's a good ball player.
Off to a bad
You know,
start. but yeah, good ball.
there's only one ball in the game of basketball.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
not
just
sure
like to
Kyrie's a
re-sign
fit.
Rozier at half the rate that
Yeah.
Irving's going to do. Because if Irving scores 22 points a game, okay, the other guys can pick up the points easily. So we're down to a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
So
Less
with
than a
that,
minute.
I will just say this. Look in the camera, Red. For the final time ever, Nick Red Mumley on the Best Damn Sports Show ever.
He's kidding. He's kidding. I trust.
Hopefully.
On the lifetime contract, Super Dave Handy, Duke Forrest. And thanks, Nick, in the director's chair. I am the Nighthawk, and until next Wednesday, everyone, we'll be shining up our World Series Boston Red Sox rings. We'll see you next Wednesday. And remember, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao.
Go Sox. Go Sox.
So, David, the Neil Armstrong movie opened up.